What's the first thing you think of when you hear Suez Canal? I bet it's trade, right? Ships piled high with goods, cutting thousands of miles off their journey from Europe to Asia. And for decades, that's the story we've been told about why Britain was so obsessed with controlling it. It was the lifeline of the empire, the great commercial artery pumping wealth back to London. But what if I told you that's not the whole story, not even the most important part of it? What if the real reason Britain desperately clung to Suez had almost nothing to do with merchant ships and everything to do with something far more powerful? Let's debunk this trade myth first. In the late 19th century, when Britain bought its shares and later occupied Egypt, was the Suez Canal really a commercial game-changer for them? The data says not really. Britain's trade was already global and dominant. They had the largest merchant navy in the world and well-established routes around Africa. Sure, the canal was a nice shortcut, a time saver, but it wasn't the make-or-break factor for the British economy that many history books suggest. Think about it, if your business is already the biggest on the planet. Is one faster delivery route going to fundamentally change your entire operation? Probably not. The idea that losing the canal would cripple British trade was more of a convenient political argument than an economic reality. It was a great line to sell to the public. But the people in power knew the truth was much deeper, so if it wasn't about crates of tea and textiles, what was it? The answer lies in one word: India. Not just India as a trading partner, but India as the absolute jewel in the imperial crown. It was the source of immense wealth, prestige, and, most importantly, military power. India provided Britain with a massive army, the British Indian Army, which was used to project British power all across Asia and Africa. Keeping control of India was non-negotiable. And the Suez Canal was the fastest route to get troops there. Imagine you're in London in the 1880s. There's a rebellion brewing in India, or another European power like Russia is threatening the northern frontier. You need to send soldiers, and you need to send them fast. Are you going to send them on a 3-month voyage on the Cape of Good Hope? Or are you going to use the canal and get them there in a matter of weeks? The canal wasn't a commercial highway, it was a military expressway. It was the strategic choke point that guaranteed Britain could reinforce its most valuable asset at a moment's notice. Control the canal, and you control the speed at which you can defend your empire. It was about projecting power, not just profit. This military logic dominated British thinking right up until the Suez Crisis in 1956. By then, the world had changed. Air travel was becoming a thing, and Britain's empire was crumbling. India was already independent, the original strategic reason for holding Suez to quickly dispatch troops to India was gone, but the old mindset, the imperial pride tied to the canal, lingered. When Egypt's leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser, nationalized the canal, Britain's Prime Minister Anthony Eden reacted not just as a modern politician, but as the heir to a century of imperial strategy. He saw it as a direct threat to British prestige and power. Even though the original justification had vanished, the Suez Crisis was the tragic final act of this long drama. It was a desperate attempt to cling to a symbol of power that had lost its strategic meaning. Britain, along with France and Israel, invaded. But they were forced into a humiliating withdrawal by pressure from the United States and the global community. The whole affair exposed that Britain was no longer a top-tier global power that could act alone. The lifeline of the empire was finally cut, but the empire it was meant to serve was already a ghost. So the next time you see a picture of the Suez Canal, remember it's not just a story of economics and trade. It's a story of military strategy, imperial ambition, and the desperate, decades-long British obsession with holding onto India, the true center of their world. The canal was never just about the money, it was about the soldiers. Thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden histories. See you next time.